Okay, say again, buddy.
Jennifer Miller, Stephanie Heap-Reller, you are the Executive Director and President of Dysautonomia Support Network. Thank you so much, both of you, for being here today. We really appreciate you taking the time to be part of this and to kind of give us some of the background on why this book is coming out and why now and how it fits into the big picture of what Dysautonomia Support Network does. So I want to hear from each of you. What is your background with DSN? How did you get involved, and what is it that you do for the organization? Jennifer, why don't we start with you?
Hi, well, thank you for having us. Started out as a Facebook group back in 2012. We progressed to become a nonprofit in 2016. I was a volunteer, then started taking on a little bit more of administrative work, and am now the executive director overseeing the organization.
That's pretty quick growth from 2000. Jennifer Miller, Stephanie Heap-Reller, you are the Executive Director and President of Dysautonomia Support Network. Thank you so much, both of you, for being here today. We really appreciate you taking the time to be part of this and to kind of give us some of the background on why this book is coming out and why now and how it fits into the big picture of what Dysautonomia Support Network does. So I want to hear from each of you. What is your background with DSN? How did you get involved, and what is it that you do for the organization? Jennifer, why don't we start with you?
Hi, well, thank you for having us. Started out as a Facebook group back in 2012. We progressed to become a nonprofit in 2016. I was a volunteer, then started taking on a little bit more of administrative work, and am now the executive director overseeing the organization.
That's pretty quick growth from 2012 to 2016 and now to this position where it's a big enough network to have an executive director. So I'm sure that was quite a ride for you. And I will have to say I've known Jennifer for a while now and seen her do her work with DSN, and you have been the heart and soul of this organization for a while, and it's just we're so lucky to have you, and it's really a pleasure to have you leading. So thank you for that. And Stephanie, your turn. Let's hear from you. How'd you get involved with DSN?
Well, first, I'll piggyback on what you said. Jennifer is literally the backbone of DSN, and none of us would be here if it wasn't for her and all of her hard work through all of the changes that DSN has had over the years. So, DSN originally was created to help those with dysautonomia over the years, leadership of many great advocates, and now we've morphed into this wonderful, supportive community for patients, physicians, and loved ones, and it's pretty spectacular. When my husband and I were navigating the diagnosis roller coaster, as we call it, for our children, we wanted to find a trustworthy community that could kind of guide us through this uncharted territory. And we were flabbergasted at the lack of resources for patients and medical professionals way back then. So we are so grateful to be involved in a nonprofit that's able to provide the resources for families like ours. And so that's one of the reasons that, we try to give back to the community and make sure that the resources that are available for these families are just top notch. And sometimes people are just asking simple questions like, what kind of electrolyte do you have? And people have this whole conversation about electrolytes, and having a safe and comforting environment where people know that there's going to be no gaslighting, there's always understanding. So I think that DSN has done a great job in that aspect.
And so tell me, to follow up on that, what did you gain when you first found DSN, when you were going through that time of the diagnosis roller coaster?
So I did not find DSN until after the diagnosis process, because I was going through it about the same times that they were starting. So once I found DSN, I was a little irritated that it wasn't around, 10 years before that. So one of the things that we, want to make sure is that our family, is able to talk to people about dysautonomia and lead them to the resources that Jennifer and Joanna and Madison, who I know you'll interview later, are, they have really created a great environment, and the resources are amazing. And so I wish we had that when we were going through the process, but I'm so grateful that families now have this as well.
So, Jennifer, I feel like you've made contact with practically everybody who's ever come through DSN. The Stephanie's story of like wishing it had been there when they were going through all of that, does that really resonate? Is that something that you hear commonly from other people who are part of the community?
Yes, definitely. And when I got started in this, I didn't have the resources either. So that's why we've put together this amazing team and create the resources. We create handbooks and handouts to guide the patients.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know we hear pretty regularly through our social media channels that those are a godsend for a lot of people, that they really appreciate having that information and being able to connect with others who are going through the same thing.
Yeah, definitely. It's a very challenging illness, and with school and work, we've been able to put together resources that can really help the patients.
Mm-hmm. And while we're talking about that, where can they find those?
On our website, dysautonomiasupport.org, under the resources tab. They're loaded in there for all aspects of your life.
All right. And we'll link to that so everybody can see where that is.
Great.
So next question, Stephanie, this one's for you. Of all the things that Dysautonomia Support Network does, all the projects you could have taken on right now, why this workbook? What made you as an organization say that the Dysautonomia Workbook, a guide to empowered living, that this is the project because your resources are limited. So why is this the project that you're doing right now?
I think the simple answer is it's a passion project that we as an organization saw the need for. I think everybody would probably agree that when we were all going through the diagnosis process, there wasn't as much material out there, and that something like this workbook would have been so very helpful. So, DSN has had an amazing opportunity to work with so many talented volunteers through the years. And we're so grateful for all the knowledge and passion that they've been bringing to the table year in and year out. And when Joanna and Madison started planning this workbook, I listened to their ideas as if I was on day one of the diagnosis journey. I didn't listen to their idea as someone who has dealt with this for over a decade. And I thought, well, this would have been the best tool for a patient and a caregiver. I loved the information, the research they had done, the research that other volunteers for our organization had done, and the activity pages are just simply amazing. For example, when you're in the beginning of this literal roller coaster, you're figuring out why all of a sudden you or your child is dizzy or blacking out when standing. And it's so scary. And a lot of times medical professionals will say things like, oh, it's just, it's just growing. Or I've heard from people that they've been told, oh, your child's just faking it. They'll get over it. Just ignore them. And so it may happen where it's, once or twice, and that really isn't a big deal. But I had a child who was blacking out over 24 times a day, sometimes when standing, sometimes while in the middle of dancing or gaming with friends. And so I feel this workbook would have helped me personally understand dysautonomia much more and allow me to create a way to track activities, to be able to discuss things more intelligently with a physician of what we were really seeing as a full picture. And so for me, I always go back to that. I want to help parents that are in the position I was in 10 years ago. And DSN is so passionate about helping others. And when Madison and Joanna decided that it needed to be a workbook and that it would be so helpful for everyday activities, I mean, we were all sitting around on Zoom going, okay, sign us up. Let's get this thing published. So here we are.
Yeah, it sounds like, the subtitle of this book is A Guide to Empowered Living. And in some sense, it sounds like having something like this when you were going through that process would have been empowering for you, because you could have pointed to these logs and these activities and said, no, I'm not exaggerating. I'm not imagining it. That I've logged it all here, and it would give you something that you could take to a physician and feel very confident in what you were saying, because we know that the gaslighting and the dismissal are so common when people are seeking a diagnosis. So it would be very empowering to have this kind of resource. So Jennifer, tell me how this fits in with everything else that Dysautonomia Support Network does. Where does this book fit in kind of the general, I don't know, programming landscape of DSN?
Well, like I mentioned before with the handouts and handbooks, we've created them to empower the patient so that they know more about their illness. They can advocate for themselves better if they understand the illness. The workbook, it's a game changer, to be handed this resource, when you're first diagnosed, going through the process. It's going to be a game changer, I think, for these patients.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I know it will be greatly appreciated in the community. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how people react when they get the book in their hands and have this as a resource and have that tool and that empowerment. Well, I am so grateful to you both for having this conversation. Is there anything else that either of you want people to know about this workbook, about DSN? Because this is probably going to be our first introduction to a lot of people. So what other things do you want the general public to know?
Well, I'd encourage you to go to our website. We've got lots of great information. I also host monthly virtual support group meetings. You can find the registration link for that under the events tab. And I hope to see you at a meeting coming up soon.
Stephanie, any last words from you?
One of the things I'm so excited about for this launch is, honestly, I'm so proud of the authors, Joanna and Madison, for producing material that will be truly impactful for patients and caregivers and medical professionals. To see the passion that they have and the leadership and the passion that Jennifer has for our whole entire amazing community is super inspiring. So, I mentioned earlier, this is truly a labor of love. Our amazing board of directors has been a huge help. Our head of marketing is obviously pivotal in this whole entire process. Our board secretary, she is amazing, and Skylar has helped on this project, whether it's being an editor or a sounding board. She's just a true champion. And we're just excited to see all of this, move forward. And it's been something that's been on our radar for several years. And to get it, in our hands is going to be super exciting. And I'm just so proud of everybody who's taken part in this project. And I'm so grateful for their passion to bring, awareness to the masses with dysautonomia information. It's just great.
It's truly a community project. It is made by the community together. Love that. Well, thank you both for being here today. We're so glad that you had an opportunity to come and speak with everyone. And I know we will see you at other events and things along the way as we're getting ready for this book to launch in September. Jennifer, Stephanie, thank you both.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Hi guys, my name is Quinn. I'm 19 years old. I'm a full-time college student. I'm working a few part-time jobs right now, and I was a full-time ballet dancer until pretty recently. I don't think it's much of a secret that Dysautonomia doesn't like this lifestyle, but I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. I don't like being told what to do, especially not by Dysautonomia. I've been living with Dysautonomia since I was about 12. I've come up with a system over the years that usually lets me do what I want to do, but there's always room for improvement. So today, I figured I would take you guys through some of the workbook pages in DSN's awesome new book, and we're going to see just how easy they are. They only take a few minutes each, but they're so good at tracking your health and getting all the information out. Our first activity is going to be the energy assessment. Looks like this. All you have to do is write down an activity, the usual amount of energy it requires, a modification, and then the amount of energy required after the modification. So for me, first we're gonna say my first job. I sit at the desk, I check people in, I answer the phones. It's a pretty chill job. So let's say desk, energy required, like a 3. It's not very physically strenuous. Modifications. I always sit with my feet up because nobody can see my legs behind the desk, so I can sit in all the classic potsy positions and nobody can tell. I also always have electrolytes with me, so writing that down. And usual energy required with those modifications, probably like a 1. It's not a very hard job physically. I enjoy it though. It's a lot of fun for me. And let's say next up, doing inventory at my second job. I just started at this place, so I'm still figuring out ways to be able to handle this better. So let's say inventory, usual energy required, probably like a 7, maybe even an 8 some days. And then for modifications, I try and make it so that I have to go up and down as little as possible. I always have compression socks. I make sure that I'm taking electrolyte breaks because even though they don't taste good, they do work. And then I try and spend as little time as possible with my arms over my head. I am only 5'2". These shelves are very tall, so it does require me to be lifting things above my head. So I try and do that as few times as possible. Let's say energy required with modifications, let's say like a 5. That's probably reasonable. Last one we're gonna do for the sake of this is just getting ready for bed. I always shower at night. I'm not a morning showerer. I never have been. So between shower and just the usual night routine, probably about a 4. Sometimes it might be a 5 in terms of energy required. So let's write that down. Modifications, I use a shower chair sometimes. I don't like that I have to do it, but it does help, even if it makes me feel like I'm ancient. So, shower chair. I have my vanity and my sink pretty close to each other, so sometimes I will brush my teeth while sitting on the stool that I use for my vanity. Does it feel like extreme laziness? Yes. Is it helpful? Extremely. So, sitting, brushing teeth. But yeah, that is all I'm gonna do for now. That took a few minutes, and I can already see the things that I'm doing that are helpful. I am seeing what's really taking the most energy, and it's making me think of how much energy these things actually take. I wouldn't think that getting ready for bed would be a 4 or a 5, but it is. And that's okay. Hi again, it's Quinn, and we are going to go through the activity wheel. This is all based on what my current daily routine is, because that's what the instructions say. You're supposed to pick a color and fill it in accordingly. So relaxing is going to be this dark blue, and working is going to be this green color. And if I find a time that is self-care, it will be this color. Okay. So let's see. I'm gonna start. Recently, I've been doing most weekdays at my first job from 8:30 to about 10:30. So I'm just gonna quickly. Super easy. And then usually like 11 to 12:30ish is pretty much doing a whole lot of nothing when I can, because I like doing nothing sometimes. Sometimes you just need to do nothing and lay on the floor. There we go. And then, depending on the day, we're gonna go with my kind of usual schedule, because my schedule does change every day, but this is kind of like the good overview of everything. Usually, I will go to my second job from about 1 till 6. There we go. And then sometime after that, I'm driving home. I'm making and eating dinner. Usually, probably about 9ish is the next time I'm relaxing, because I try and be in my bed early. I never sleep at 9, but I try to always be in my bed no later than like 9:30. So this is my completed chart. This is my working hours versus my relaxing hours. Yikes. And this isn't even including school, because I don't have school right now. I'm taking summer of doing nothing. So yeah, having some big self-realizations right now. All right, I'll see you guys in a little bit. I'm back. All right, it's time for the last one I'm going to show you guys today, the sleep journaling prompts. This one, kind of just going to go through. This is going to be the same as the others. It only takes a few minutes, so it's super easy to keep up with, and you can do it right before you go to bed, and you're all good. So, what did you accomplish today that you are proud of? I did a project for my boss at my first job, which overall I'm pretty happy with. Something you can let go of today. I didn't get as much work done as I wanted because I was tired today and just moving really slowly. Let's see. One word you would use to describe your day. Tiring. I know that's not a great word, but it's probably accurate. What primary emotions do you feel today? Well, I was happy most of the time I was at the desk. I was able to like hyper focus on that project, which was nice. I know focus isn't really an emotion, but we're gonna count it. And right now, all I feel is tired, which is definitely not an emotion, but again, it's accurate. Best part of your day? Well, my day is not actually over. It's only 2:30 while I'm filming this. So, best part of my day so far was finishing that project and getting a thank you from my boss. That was really nice. She's usually, like, she's great, but I've never gotten to do a project like that for her, so it was really fun. What happened today that you were thankful for? I got to wake up in my bed with my dog. I got to go do a job I enjoy. I got to talk to people that I like. I got to hang out with the little girl in the lobby of the place that I work while her mom was in a meeting, and it was really fun. I really like little kids. They drive me crazy sometimes, but I love them. What is worrisome to you tonight? There's a very big event at my second job tomorrow afternoon, and I've never done anything like it, so it's stressing me out a little bit, especially because I have been so tired today. I'm hoping today isn't gonna fall over into tomorrow and I'm still gonna be exhausted tomorrow. How can you make peace with that? I'm doing my best to take care of myself. I'm doing all the electrolytes. That one is an Element. It is the orange flavor. It's the best flavor. So, Element, if you want to send me some stuff for free, I consume way too much of your product. Let's see. And I guess another way to just make peace with that is knowing I'm doing my best to make sure that tomorrow I am as well rested as possible and am as hydrated as possible. What am I looking forward to tomorrow? I'm looking forward to both jobs. I really like my first one. It's just, I get to be around a lot of people I enjoy. And then